פקידים לידינו, יש ירי על הכוח.
הכוח התחיל תנועה על הציר, הכוח מתפנה החוצה, הכוח מתפנה החוצה.
פקיעים ובריאים.
מעולה, תמשיכו, אנחנו מלווים אתכם.
יכול להצליח, אבל בסדר.
מה שווה? מה שלומכם? מה קורה? איך אתה מרגיש?
אני צריך
הלם.
בסדר גמור.
טוב עכשיו? מי אנחנו עולים עכשיו על מסוק? פשוט המעילים. עולים על מסוק וזה בית חולים תל השומר. פוטין. בטח, אין שאלה. בוא רגע, שנייה אחת רגע, בוא סליחה רצית? בקבוק מים. נראה לכם? אתה לוקח עצמך? בטוח?
שם בלב.
איזה כיף, איזה כיף. איך שמרגש שאתם איתנו, מרגש מאוד. איזה כיף מאוד.
אנחנו ככה, סדר כמו על המסוק, אני מוביל, אבל אני שנייה אומר, זה יצטרך להיות קצת מהיר, בסדר? לא בלחץ, הכל בסדר, אבל קצת מהיר, כי המסוק צריך לנתק מהר, בסדר? משם הוא לוקח את הבית חולים, ומשם הכל בסדר.
עדכנו אותנו שעוד איזה 3 דקות בערך נגיע אוהבים אתכם. אתה צריך נעליים? אתה פרננדו? זה אתה? לואיס, אנחנו נלך ביחד. אם אתה צריך עזרה לאורך כל הדרך, תגיד לי. בנחת. ובוא תלך ראשון, אני איתך. לאט. זהירות, יש פה מדרגה קטנה. אני איתך, לואיס. אני איתך, חצי דקה לנחיתה.
An outstanding result, a result of immense planning and high level of professionality. We had special forces from the Yamam police unit combined with the Israel Security Agency, the Shin Bet operational capabilities, all under the umbrella of the IDF that went into a residential area in Rafah, conducted a rescue operation, and indeed in the early hours of this morning we announced that we'd retrieved and rescued Luis Har, who is 70 years old, and Fernando Marman, who is 61 years old. The reports that we've received, the initial surveillance of their health situation was relatively good. We evacuated them by helicopter to hospital, to the Tel HaShomer Sheba Hospital, just outside of Tel Aviv, and they're undergoing a further examination. But it's looking promising this morning. I think it's a good news, a good way to start the day after 4 months of war and lots of heartbreak. But we need to remember that there are still 134 Israelis being held captive by Hamas. Their circumstances, their condition unknown, unsure. And we need to bring every one of them home, every last one of them. Well, of course, we've said since the outset of this war that we will operate wherever Hamas is. And what we've seen time and time again is that Hamas has no regard for civilian life. Just this operation, just this morning, took place in a residential area in a a home, in a building, on the second story of the building. As our forces conducted their operation, they were fired at from all directions in a came under heavy fire. And this is just exemplifies precisely the dilemma we are operating in. Of course, we've been instructed to create and devise a plan to operate by the government. We are conducting that, and we will, for sure, operate under the instruction of the government, under the understanding that this is not a quick fix war. There is a long war ahead of us. To dismantle a terrorist organization that has embedded itself in the last 16 years in the Gaza Strip, under the Gaza Strip, taking advantage of UN facilities, taking advantage of hospitals, it's going to take some time. We will continue to operate under the understanding that there are civilians in the area. We need to minimize the impact, operate in accordance to the laws of armed conflict, but at the end of the day, achieve our goals of bringing home the hostages, every last one of them, and making sure that Hamas, who can't be trusted with power, never has the power of governing the Gaza Strip again. I'm not aware of any announcement to or call on the people of Rafah to evacuate Rafah this morning. If that changes, then of course it will be apparent and clear to everyone. We need to operate wherever Hamas is hiding. We need to operate wherever Hamas is holding hostages. We've proven time and time again that Hamas has no regard for human life. And this is precisely the reason we are at war, because they came in on the 7th of October. They abducted, butchered, massacred over 1,200 Israelis and abducted 240 other people. The suggestion that we don't operate where Hamas is like saying, give up on these people. We are operating to create the conditions to bring home the hostages and to make sure Hamas does not have that power. Those conditions could be created through diplomacy, or as we've proven this morning, through operational capabilities based on intelligence to bring them home. We need to bring home the hostages. That is the moral, that is the right thing to do for the people of Israel, the Israelis that are being held hostage. That is our obligation, and that needs to be done. That is just where we are at this stage of the war. We've said that Hamas cannot be given a free hand precisely because they can't be trusted. So why should we trust them with Rafah? Why should we trust them anywhere? They need to be sought out. They need to be eradicated. They need to be crushed. And the Israelis, the hostages, need to be brought home. We could end this war tomorrow if Hamas unconditionally surrendered and released the hostages. There would be no need for a war. So those questioning or criticizing Israel for operating need to really ask themselves what they would do in a similar situation where they had hundreds of their citizens being held hostage, and how they would conduct themselves and what restrictions they would put on themselves. We are operating within the laws of armed conflict. We're operating based on the goals of this war to make sure that the security situation is improved, to make sure that the hostages are brought home, and to make sure that Hamas never have the power of government again.